It's Si here from Si Moto Photo. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're new, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video and I hope I earn your subscription. Today I'm going to tell you what the Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer is like from a GS rider's perspective. I'm just going to take this Triumph Tiger Rally Explorer model out for a road test. So I've been thinking about this bike for quite a while. I've had access to the GT Pro and I've given that a good ride, but I've not ridden this one yet, and I'm looking forward to taking it out to ride it to let you see what I think of it. Thanks to the guys here at West Coast Triumph for letting me take the bike out. Cracking bunch of guys. I'm going to do a wee bit of motorway, a little bit of off-road. I'll do a bit of a summary about the end of it and let you know what I think of the bike, and I'll also do a sort of talk about the different features and things like that on the bike as well, different bits and pieces, different specs on the bike. I'll not get into huge detail, but I'll let you know what I know about the bike. So I'm quite keen to just jump on the bike and ride it, because I've been on the GS all day, so it's good to see back to back how this bike actually rides. So without further ado, let's jump on the bike and away we go. Let's see here. So my initial impressions are, it's quite tall, not overly tall. I'm 6 foot, and it's actually, I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm not flat footed, but I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm certainly not, it's not out of reach for me. It's really smooth, it's got a lovely noise off it, it's quite a nice riding position, got a comfy seat. It's got this blind spot detect feature on the mirrors, so that's going to sort of give you a heads up of anybody that's coming up your inside. I don't know how I feel. We'll see what that's like when it's on the move. This particular model is fitted with heated grips and a heated seat as well, and that's just pure joy, especially on a day like this when it's blooming freezing. Let's just see what it's like on merging onto this motorway, just see how the pull's like on the slip road going up. It's very grunty. It sounds lovely. That's actually quite intoxicating, that noise. I do like it. Just don't know if that's big naughty rain clouds coming. Oh, it rides absolutely gloriously, man. It's got a real grumbly sound. I know that this bike's been criticised quite a bit for being a bit vibey. It's definitely not vibey. I think it kind of throws you with the noise of it. It's just a really grumbly, aggressive noise that it's got, but it's definitely not an aggressive power delivery. It's a progressive power delivery. It's just got a real sort of symphony of noise coming out of that pipe. You notice when you're on the bike, it's quite a narrow exhaust pipe that's on the back of the bike, and the luggage, when you see the luggage fitted to them, it actually looks really quite smart, unlike the GS where it sticks away out a mile at the side. In fact, one of the boxes on the GS has got a cut out on the side that's taking up quite a bit of the luggage space in that particular pannier, but I don't notice that with the Triumph. It's two boxes of equal size and they fit quite close to the bike on the exhaust side. Just makes it look quite tidy. So we're running on 150 horsepower T-plane crankshaft engine that's in this bike. It's putting out 130 newton meters of torque. It certainly feels lively. That was one of the concerns I had moving from the GS 1250, because it's such a torquey motor, but it's certainly not. I don't feel that this is any less powerful, to be honest. It feels more power when you accelerate, but low down here when I'm opening the taps, it doesn't feel as if it's struggling at all. But let's crack on and we'll get up to the A-roads and we'll give it a wee blast in the A-roads and see how we get on with that. So the wind protection is really good in the bike. This screen's adjustable, and it was keeping a really kind of smooth, non-turbulent wind hitting me at the top of my head. In fact, it probably wasn't actually on the top of my head, because when I put my hand up to my head, you can feel it just above the helmet. So it's really nice. It's a really nice place to be. There's plenty of protection with this big sort of front end tank on it, but what's really amazing is it's such a narrow waist that's on the bike, so I don't feel as if my legs are really splayed out wide, and I do feel that on the GS. The front of the bike where your radiator would normally be. There's no radiator there. The radiator is in the sides of the bike, just in here, but one at either side, and the air goes through the radiator, and normally that hot air would come up at you if it was in the centre, traditional place that it sits in the bike, on the centre in the middle. But because it's going through the side of these radiators, there's a vent here that takes the hot air away. Now I know sometimes on a cold day the hot air's quite welcome, but you know, through the summer months, you know, in late spring, summer, early autumn, you know, it'll keep the bike a lot cooler. Certainly if you're doing any town work on the bike, it'll make it a lot more pleasant place to be. You've got different modes in the bike now, and they're all controlled through this TFD, but on the TFD itself, it's really crisp and clear, but it doesn't look as if there's a lot of information there, but you can change that. You use a little cursor button here, and you can bring up some information, giving you your sort of fuel, and you can change that to be your trip as well. So you go back across and you can set it to trip and click that one, and it gives you all your trip information. So you can set it up to whatever way you want to set it up. This is equipped with fully electronic suspension, or when I say fully electronic suspension, it's called semi-automatic suspension, but it's constantly working out the optimal conditions for the optimal operating conditions for the shocks and forks, to give you sort of, you know, really good feedback when you're on the road. It's also constantly adjusting the preload on the bike to give you the best ride height. So in essence, it's looking after the sag for you on the bike, taking into account what weight's on it. So it's always measuring that, so it's trying to make the shocks work in their optimal range all the time. So that's really quite impressive actually. Feels lovely. And I've got it in road mode, and the road mode is just a little bit softer suspension. The throttle response on it's just nice, it's lovely, and the feeling on it's fantastic. I'll show you a wee feature here that I think is quite cool actually. Wait a wee second, I'll show you this. So when you pull it to stop, if you're in gear and you let the clutch out, the revs climb on their own. It's like an anti-stall feature that's on the bike, and that's going to be really good when you're doing a wee bit of off-roading on it as well. It just makes the bike, you know, that little bit easier to manage and reduce the chance of you stalling it, just stalling it out. The suspension's got 200mm travel on the forks, slightly taller this model, just to give you a little bit more ground clearance when you tackle anything off-road. It's also got a sump guard under the bike, and it's quite a decent sump guard that's on it as well. I don't think there's any need to put an aftermarket one on it, because I think the one that's on it's actually good. It offers quite good protection, and it's got the rally model's got the 21-inch wheel at the front and spoked wheels. Now these spoked wheels are tubeless, so you know, you're getting the best of both worlds with them. So the 21-inch gives you the better rollover and the rollover stones and things like that off-road, and the spokes give you a little bit more give in the wheel if you were to bash into anything. One of my worries was that was the bike going to handle well with a 21-inch wheel on it coming off the GS with the 19-inch wheel, and I have to say it steers in really nice. I was worrying about that, and I don't think it's in to worry about. It steers really well. The road mode has got it set up in a more sort of laid back riding mode, so I'm going to maybe flick it into sport here. So we'll put it in there, we'll pull the clutch in, and we'll press the wee buttony thing. That's us in sport. See the wee dials changed to sport. Oh yeah, you can feel the suspension sort of more taut right away there, and it's definitely got a sharper throttle response. Oh, it definitely feels different. They say that, you know, when you change the modes, it doesn't just change the feeling, you are getting different behaviour out of the suspension units as well. It is definitely a bit bumpier, a bit firmer, but it's no bad thing, I don't suppose, when you're wanting to get a bit of a lick on. It's got some really top end kit in this bike as well. So you've got Brembo Stylema brakes on it, you've got the forks are Showa forks that are on the bike. The bike's quite, you know, it's 25 kilograms it's been saved off the weight of the old one, and you can definitely feel it. It's lighter than the GS, and I would say it feels lighter than the GS. It definitely feels more agile. and that's even with the 21-inch tyre. As I say, I have ridden the GT Pro and I loved it, I absolutely loved it, but I do like the rugged look of the Rally, and although I don't go mad off-roading, I do like to do a bit of off-road on the bike. I like to go places that you wouldn't normally go to, like forestry trails and things like that, and on like a sports bike, a traditional sports tourer, you just wouldn't do it. I just think that when you've got something that's a wee bit more rugged, you're more likely to do it, you're more likely to take it off-road. Listen to that engine. So the T-plane crankshaft engine, the triple engine, it's got an offset firing order, so you know, rather than a traditional 3-cylinder motor where you've got an even firing order, you've got where you've got bang bang bang, and this one's bang bang bang, and the reason for that is to give you the kind of characteristics of a twin almost, down low, but still maintain the triple high end, and it's really we'll soon sort of, you know, have a wee shot off-road, right, but apparently it's to give you more grip, mechanical grip when you're off-road, because there's a sort of pause in the power pulse, the tyre gets a chance to recover, letting it grip better. And I'm kind of familiar with that when R1 I used to have the cross-plane crankshaft. The drive out of a corner was phenomenal on that bike, and it had really good grunt, a low down in mid-range, far more than I had on previous R1s. I mean, it really was a big difference, and I can definitely feel that with this bike. It's just got a real shove about it. It's got a real low down shove. What a gorgeous engine. And I'm not kidding you, this mic will not do it any justice, but the noise is phenomenal, especially under load. You actually can hear it, you can hear the airbox just soaking air in underneath you. What an exciting bike, this is lovely. I can't believe how well it turns with that 21-inch wheel. That was a genuine concern I had, was how it was going to turn with that wheel, but it's really nice. You've got heated passenger seats as well as heated front seat in this one as well, so your passenger can adjust it. They use a wee button in the side of the bike to turn it on and off for themselves, so it's quite easy for them to access it. So let's just take it down this wee lane here. What we'll do is we'll pull the bike over and I'll do an overview of the bike, and I'll sort of show you the bike. I'll do a walk round of the bike, show you some of the spec on the bike, and after that we'll do a little off-road trail that I've got just up the road here. It's nothing major, but it's certainly good fun. It gets you out the seat. I'm going to change it also back, the mode back from sport. We'll put it into the off-road mode. There's an off-road and there's a pro off-road mode, so there's 6 different modes on the bike. On this particular bike, I think there's 5 that you get on the GT and the GT Pro. You get 4 modes on the GT, 5 modes on the GT Pro, and 6 modes on the GT Explorer, and it's 5 with the Rally Pro and 6 with the Rally Explorer. This is a bike. Now look at that, it's a stunning looking bike. So it's finished in khaki green, which is the Triumph Rally colour. You can't get that on the GT Pro, and it's probably one of the reasons why I've been looking at this one, because I really like that colour. The Rally Explorer comes with your crash bars, and bottom and top crash bars. You've got your Showa gold suspension, you've got your auxiliary lights in the front of it as well. It's got a shaft drive, and what's really cool actually is this new tri-link suspension part on the back. So that it's lighter than the old setup, but it gives it more rigidity at the back end. The triple engine, that is just gorgeous. It sounds amazing. You've got your 30 litre fuel tank. As I say, under here you've got your radiators are up in the side here, and it takes the air out of the bike and away from you as a rider. Your TFT dash is really cool. This is your radar part at the back for sensing traffic coming up the inside. And when I was on the motorway, I really quite liked that feature. Actually, I didn't think I would bother with that, but it catches your attention. It really catches your attention when you see something, see it flicking on the side, and then you look in the mirror and see somebody coming up your inside. This is your sort of a suspension adjustment unit for the back, so it's constantly assessing the rear preload to make sure that it's running in the right ride height, and it adjusts it all the time for you. And your passenger can adjust this heated seat just under here. What a good looking bike. We'll change the mode on it here, and we'll get a wee off-road, play off-road. As I say, it's not majorly taxing, but it's good fun. I like it. So let's go into our mode once the dash comes back on, and we'll go to our off-road mode. So you've got off-road, ABS is off, the map set to off-road, the traction control set to off, and the suspension is on setting 5 out of 9 for firmness, so it just gives you a little bit more give. So preload adjustment in progress. You can feel it softening, feel it going down a wee bit there, and here we go. Let's just see how we go here. So the beauty of having a bike like this in your garage is, and this is something I think, because I said in my last video, I was a sport bike guy for years. I was always quite reluctant to get an adventure bike, just because I was like, oh, I'm not old enough for it, I'm old enough for that bike, that kind of bike yet. But it opens up a whole new avenue of motorcycling. It's a whole different experience, because you can do a bit of off-roading, you can do a bit of scratching if you want to, you can do a bit of touring. It gives you such a versatile bike, so many different options, and I've really becoming to enjoy doing wee roads like this. So not quite yet, but it opens up a wee bit more into a sort of forestry trail further up here, and these are things you wouldn't tackle on a standard bike, like a sports tourer or a sports bike or something, obviously. But when you're riding an adventure bike, give it a go. Just tackle things that you wouldn't normally go out on. Go and play with the bike and see what you think. It's great fun. I mean, as I say, this is not a total off-road track, I get that, but it's just different. There's only so many times you can go out and run round your local roads, and do your circuit, whatever it is you do. There's only so many times you can do that before it starts to get a bit repetitive, and this just gives you a wee bit more, another string to your bow. It irons out all these big bumps and things when you're going over it it just makes it easy. When you get your weight over the front end of the bike as well, it gives you a little bit more control. Standing up on the bike, and the thing is with the rally versions, the bars are higher on them. They're raised up a bit. I think it's about 16mm, I think it is, that they come up over the standard, the GT Pro, and that's just to give you a little bit, when you're standing over the bike, it's just easier to reach down for the bars. And you do want to, when you're doing stuff like this, it's good to stand up, because you get more, you just get better feel. I've seen some guys when I'm out and they want to sit down, I don't know why, they just want to sit down, and it makes the bike more nervous when you're sitting down. When you're standing up, the bike just seems to handle it better. But this is lovely. It's lovely. The bike's really nice in off-road mode, and it just makes this an absolute breeze. It's just chewing this up and spitting it out, to be honest. And the tyres on it, they're kind of what they call, they're either 80-20 or 70-30. They're like semi off-road tyres, so they're really good on the tarmac, but they give you a good bit of grip on stuff like this as well, without being knobblies. One of the big things about the GS, when I got the GS, it had Anarchy Adventure tyres on it, which are good tyres, they grip really well, but one criticism I've got is they're very, very noisy, and I've not noticed that in this bike. They don't seem to be very noisy, and these are more off-road than the Anarchies, I would say. the ones that are on this. I don't know if it's to do with the engineering or how the GS is engineered, but you get a lot of noise comes up from the tunnel between the forks and up into the cockpit. I go looking for bumps when I've got this. It's great fun. You know, you've got an adventure bike, this is what it's all about. Getting off the beaten track and bumping into cows. Bumping into cows out in the field. Now, I don't know if you know what those cows are. Those cows are they're called belted Galloway cows. They're really quite rare. Big fluffy cows. You don't see them very often. Belted Galloways. That looks like a big bull. That is a big bull. Eats this stuff up. It's gorgeous to ride on it. And the suspension setting, with it in this enduro mode, it just glides across the terrain. It makes it so confidence inspiring. You know, when you're doing something like this, it's just good fun. So we're nearly at the trail. We're nearly at the end of the trail. So what we'll do is we'll sort of head back to the B roads and just sort of summarise how I feel this bike actually handles on the B roads. We're back in road mode and we're just having a wee play to head back to where we came from. So what a gorgeous bike, I have to say. It's exceeded my expectations. I had some reservations in terms of how the bike steers, the low down grunt. It's really super nice to ride this bike. It's got so much shove. And listen to that noise. I used to love my cross-plane crank R1 and it reminds me of it. The sound, it just sounds different. So would I go for a GT Pro or a Rally? You know what? I have ridden the GT Pro a few times, right, but I don't want to. I'm going to ride it again and do a review on it because I've never done a review on it, right? And I'll make my call after that, because if I was just to go after this review, I think I would say I would go for this, because I like the look of it. I really like the look of it, and I like the colour scheme, this khaki colour scheme. But my only reservation was the fact that it had the 21-inch wheel on the front, and do you know what? It's nothing to have any reservations about, because whatever Triumph have done with the engineering of the bike, it's just mega. Is it the genuine do-it-all bike? I reckon it is. So we're back on the motorway, and I just wanted to sort of go over what it's like at a bit of pace. See that lighting up with the car? It's actually quite cool. I'm actually liking that feature. I didn't think I would. It's a really calm place to be, actually. There's this windscreen and side parts here seem to do a really good job of throwing the wind off you. And however that wind's hitting that screen, it isn't hitting my helmet. It's going over the top of my head, and it just feels quite calm. And because you've got such a nice big front end here with the tank, my legs are fit. My legs aren't getting much blast at all. Maybe the tops of my knees. That's, you know, just here. Apart from that, it's fine. And I'm sitting with my heated seat on and my heated bars, and it's just I'm in my happy place. So anyway, I'll catch you back at the shop and we'll do a wee summary and I'll let you know what I think. Triumph Tiger Rally 1200 Explorer. It's as comfy as a GS. It's definitely as comfy as a GS, but it's got more. It's got that little bit of magic dust that the GS doesn't have from a rider's point of view. It's a rider's bike. It's an adventure bike for a rider, for somebody that likes to not only, you know, go touring and do a wee bit off-road, but somebody that likes to have a bike that's a wee bit more dynamic. And I think that's where the Tiger is get its USP. It's a real joy to ride. My reservations were having a 21-inch front wheel. Was that going to be a hindrance? It definitely wasn't. It turned really nice. The other sort of thing I was a wee bit wary about was that triple engine. How would I find that with a T-plane crank? And I have to say, it's smashing. But I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more content, let me know. Just stick it down in the comment section. Let me know what you'd like to see. If you did like the video, stick a wee thumbs up for me if you don't mind. And if I earned it, a subscription would be great too. But thanks a lot for tuning in, and take it easy.